Winter came early to the valley. Snow fell for 3 straight days, thick and heavy, swallowing roads, rooftops, and trees. The mountains around the village of Gurez Valley stood silent, like ancient watchers buried under white. Ayan Malek arrived just before the roads closed. He wasn't a tourist. He had come back because his father had died. The house stood alone near the frozen river, old wooden walls, a slanted roof, and windows that rattled whenever the wind screamed through the valley. Ayan hadn't been there in 10 years, not since his mother disappeared during a winter storm no one liked to talk about. Locals avoided his eyes when he asked about her. She was taken by the snow, they always said. Nothing more. That evening, the power went out. Ayan lit a lantern and sat near the fireplace, listening to the storm. Outside, the wind howled like something alive, angry, hungry. At 2:17 a.m., a sound cut through the storm. Knock, knock. Ayan froze. No one came out during storms like this. Everyone in the valley knew that. He moved slowly toward the door, lantern shaking in his hand. "Hello?" he called. No answer. He opened the door just a crack. Only snow. Deep, untouched snow. He shut the door, uneasy, and told himself it was just the wind. But when he turned around, he noticed something that made his blood turn cold. Wet footprints, leading from the door into the house. The footprints ended near the staircase. Ayan followed them, heart pounding, lantern raised. Nothing. No one. Just silence and cold. That morning, he went to the village market. Only a few shops were open. An old shopkeeper named Yusuf stared at Ayan's face and went pale. "You heard the knock, didn't you?" Yusuf whispered. Ayan stiffened. "How do you know?" Yusuf looked around nervously. "Because it has started again." He explained. "Every few years during the harshest winter, the knock returns, always at 2:17 a.m., always during a blizzard. Those who open their doors never survive the next storm." "They stand outside," Yusuf said, voice shaking. "They look like people we know, family, friends, but their eyes," he swallowed, "they're empty, like frozen glass." That night, Ayan locked every door and window. The storm grew worse. At exactly 2:17 a.m., the knocking returned, louder this time. Knock, knock, knock. A voice followed, soft, familiar. "Ayan, open the door." His breath caught. It was his mother's voice. "I'm cold," the voice whispered. "Please let me in." Tears filled his eyes. His hand trembled inches from the lock. Then he remembered. His mother had disappeared 10 years ago, and no one ever found her body. The knocking continued all night. When morning came, the snow outside his house was covered in footprints, dozens of them, all facing his door. The village gathered in the mosque that afternoon. Fear filled the room. An old woman finally spoke the truth no one wanted to remember. "Years ago," she said, "during a brutal winter, travelers were trapped in the mountains. The village turned them away, afraid of running out of food. They died in the storm. And when they died," she continued, "the snow took their souls. Now, every winter, the dead return, seeking warmth, seeking life." Ayan felt something tighten in his chest. That night, the storm reached its peak. The knocking began again, but this time, it wasn't just at the door. Knock, knock. At the windows, at the walls, from the roof. Voices filled the air. His father, his mother, childhood friends. "I'm sorry," his mother cried. "I never meant to leave you." Ion screamed and covered his ears. Suddenly, silence. He opened his eyes. The door was open, and standing inside the house was his mother. Snow clung to her hair. Her skin was pale blue, her eyes empty. She smiled. "You shouldn't have come back," she said. The storm swallowed the house. Morning came too quietly. The storm was gone. The village searched for Ion. They found the house buried in snow. Inside, no body, only frozen footprints leading out toward the mountains. That night, as the villagers locked their doors, a new knock echoed through the valley, and outside every home stood a familiar face. Among them was Ayan Malek, snow-covered, eyes empty, waiting. Even after the blizzard ended, a strange heaviness lingered in the Kashmiri valley. The mountains stood silent, as if they were afraid to breathe. Doors remained locked, windows stayed shut, because everyone knew one thing. Even when the snow melted, those who returned did not leave. There was one person in the village who had not slept since that night. Her name was Sarah Noor. Sarah was the village's only school teacher. She was also the last piece of warmth Ayan Malik had ever known. Back when he was a boy, when his mother disappeared, before he left the valley behind. Before Ayan vanished into the snow, Sarah was the one he loved. On the night of the storm, when everyone else hid behind locked doors, Sarah stood by her window, trembling. She knew the knock was not an ordinary sound anymore. At exactly 2:17 a.m., it came again. But this time, it wasn't on the door. It was inside her heart. A familiar whisper slipped through the cold air. "Sarah." Her breath caught. She knew that voice. She knew it too well. Slowly, she pulled back the curtain. Outside, standing in the snow, was Ayan. He looked exactly the same as the last time she had seen him, snow dusting his hair, his face calm and gentle, the same man she remembered. And yet, something was terribly wrong. There was no warmth in his eyes. Sarah remembered what the village elders said. Those who return from the snow are no longer human. Still, the old love stirred painfully inside her chest. She did not open the door. She stood by the window instead. "You came back," she said softly, her voice shaking. Ayan smiled faintly. "I never left," he replied. "I was waiting beneath the snow. For you." Tears filled Sarah's eyes. "You're dead," she whispered. "That's what everyone says." "Death is only for the body," Ayan said calmly. "Love doesn't die, Sarah." The air grew colder. The snow around Ayan's feet began to move, as if something beneath it was pulling him down. "Come with me," he said. "There's no pain under the snow, no fear, only peace." Sarah reached for the door handle. For a single moment, she imagined surrendering, letting all the loneliness and grief finally end. Then she remembered the children she taught, the small hands that held her own, the lives that still needed her. Slowly, she shook her head. "I can't. I'm still alive." Ayan's face changed. Sadness passed through his eyes, then emptiness. "Then I must go," he said quietly. The wind rose into a sudden, violent swirl of snow. Ayan's body began to fade, blending into the white storm around him. Before he vanished completely, he looked at Sarah one last time. "Next winter," he said, "I will knock again." Then the storm stopped. Outside the window, there was nothing. No figure, no shadow. Only a single set of footprints, ending abruptly in the middle of the snow. Sarah stood there long after dawn arrived. She knew the story was not over, because winter always returns to Kashmir, and love sometimes survives even death itself.